Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here, and today we're going to be building up our civilization, hiring philosophers and architects, and yes, even warriors in Hadara. In this game, the players are going to be drafting cards from the table, building those cards, hiring those people into their area, their tableau, managing your money, trying to, again, further your civilization. And you have to manage many different things. You're going to be attempting to build statues. You are going to be attempting to score honor and glory through different paths. Lots going on, but it's a fairly breezy game also. It's a fairly quick and straightforward concept. You play over 3 stages called epochs in the game, and then you see who's got the most victory points. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'll show you how it plays out. We'll come on back after that, and I'll give you some final thoughts. The game is going to be played over 3 epochs, and each one is going to be divided into a Phase A and a Phase B. Everyone has one of these player aids. Each player is going to have their own board, some tokens. They'll begin with some of these, a couple of gold medals, and some starting money based on this small card that they'll be dealt, which is going to denote player order, starting player, as well as where your tokens begin and how much money you start the game with. So that's all tracked right there. We've already set up everything else, as well as the starting cards, in this case, for 2 players. And we're going to play through stage 1 right now, hence the 1 on the backs of the cards. But in the box, we've got stage 2 and 3. And so, Phase A is going to go like this. Starting from the start player, they're going to decide where they would like this to point. And that denotes which player is going to be drawing from which deck of cards. So I am playing this board right here, a little monkey character. So let's say I want to take from the red cards first. I will point there. And every player, let's say my other player is playing the Pegasus symbol here. Every player is simultaneously going to draw 2 cards from this deck. They are going to look at those 2 cards. They are going to discard one, face up over here in the discard pile. And then with the other one, they have to decide to do one of 2 things. I could either build this card. I would pay that much money. I'm going to get that many victory points at the end of the game, and I'm also going to move some tracks on my board. So, for example, I'll do that. I will pay my 3 coins. I will move the red track 1 and the blue track 1. There we go. And then the other option is not doing that, discarding the card out of the game, not to this discard pile, just completely out of the game, and make some money, in this case 2 coins, for this epoch in the game. And that amount of money goes up, but so does the cost of the cards. So that's it. Once both players have done that, so this player also would have, drawn their cards, they would have bought one, they would have discarded one, or maybe they threw it away for money. Then this rotates, and again, players from the next deck will draw their 2 cards, will look at their 2 cards, will figure out which one they want. So I might want that card, for example, and discard the other. I will build that card there. It's going to cost me 2 coins. So I will pay my 2 coins. And then I move up the green track 2 spots. There we go. Once this is all done, then stage A is, or phase A rather, is done. And all the decks will be empty because there will be 2 cards per player in there. So everyone does draw from every deck until the game, this part is over. And then we go through 3 steps before we get to Phase B. Step 1 is income. You are going to make as much money as where the yellow income track is. So let's say I pushed it all the way up to 6, I'll get 6 coins. The second one is take a colony, and these are the colonies right here. And this is where the red track comes into play. There's a threshold for these colonies shown in this corner. So there's one that you can take if you have at least 3 on the red track. Then there's one at 9, 15, 21, and 30. So if you've made it up that high, let's say I made it to right there 3, I would take the top one, and you can only take each one of these once. So I can't take another 3 threshold one. And then I have a choice. I can either make some money, and that's called plundering. So I would get 3 coins, I would leave this just the way it is, and at the end of the game I'll get 2 victory points. Or I can integrate this colony, which means I'll pay a coin, and then I will flip this over, and I might, the victory points might change, but I will definitely move up some of the tracks. In this case, 1 red, 1 blue. I don't know what I'm getting on. I cannot flip it until I decide I want to pay and flip it. I want to integrate the colony. So there we go. And everyone will do this in turn order starting from the start player. The next step is carve a statue. There are 4 spots here for statues. And you, again, have to hit a threshold in order to carve a statue. This uses the blue track, and the thresholds are 6, 12, 20, and 30. So let's say I didn't quite make it, then I will not carve a statue this round, and the other players might. But if I did, let's say I got all the way up to 8, then I could do the 6th one, okay? The way that works is, I'm not going to spend anything from the tracks. I will choose one of these tokens I have here, and I'm going to put it in that spot right there. So for example, if I do the red one, I'll do that. And then at the end of the game, I'll get 4 victory points as listed there, 4, 8, and 14, and 22 victory points. But I'm also immediately going to push my red track that many spaces, in this case 2. And so you have to manage these while you're playing. However, the other option is when I am carving a statue, I may choose to, instead of doing this, I can place one of these on the back. And on the back, they all show the same thing, a 1 victory point symbol. So if I choose to do that, I instead will not push any of these tracks. I'm just going to make more victory points when we score at the end. Now I would get 4 points for just carving the statue, but a bonus 2 points here for choosing to do that as well, embellishing that statue, all right? So that's how that works. And once everyone has had a chance to carve a statue, we move on to phase B. Of course, at that point, there would be no decks of cards here, and instead, there would be some discards at every one of these spots, okay? So let's say this is what the beginning of phase B might look like, all right? So there we go. That's phase B. And now, starting from the start player once again, all the players are going to pick up one of the discards, the top card in any one of them, and do one of their 2 options. Pay, add it to their tableau, or discard it, take some money. And now you're no longer restricted by having to do these sequentially and only getting 1 card in each color. So I'm starting, let's say, and I want to keep pushing up my blue track because I want to carve more of those statues, let's say. Obviously, I'd have some by now, so let's say I have this one from earlier, okay? I know these tracks are not correct to the cards. That's all right. But I'm going to go ahead and acquire this card here. And so I would acquire, I'm going to add it right there, and I am going to pay and place it and adjust my tracks. However, I already have a blue card. I have 1. And so the discount of the new blue card will be discounted by 1. Instead of paying 2 coins, I'll just pay 1 coin. And if I later on gain another blue card, that one will be discounted by 2 because there are 2 previously placed cards in that column. And so this continues until all of these cards are gone. And that ends the drafting part of phase B. All right? Then we go through, much like we did at the end of phase A, some steps. The first one, again, income. You're going to make some money. You can take a colony. Again, assuming you have not, you've reached a new one. You know, you cannot do a 3 again. So I can't take this one again. I would have had to make it all the way up to 9 in order to take the next one. Made it all the way up to 15 for the next one. And even though these tracks end up at a 10, there are all these tokens here to help you with tracking that. So there's red at 15, okay? And then again, carving a statue. You have another opportunity for that. And lastly, 2 steps that were not at the end of phase A. And that is feeding your people. You need to have, this is where the green track comes in, the total in green here on the track has to be able to feed your people, i.e. your cards. So you're going to count up your cards. Let's say I have 8 cards. And then I have to make sure that my green token is at least 8. So if it's at 9 and I have 8 cards, I'm good. Nothing to worry about. Let's say, however, I have 8 cards and I'm only at 7. There's a problem there. And I need to lose a card in order to be able to feed my people. The card I remove, let's say I have those 8 cards and I remove this one to bring me back down to 7, will adjust my tracks. Whatever I get rid of, I have to make sure I remove from my tracking as well. And then lastly, and the last step of the epoch here, is buying medals. And you get to buy all the medals in a single shot if you'd like to. You can buy a single one, you can buy none. But during the game, you will at most buy 2 gold medals, these right here, and 2 silver medals, which will be these. You'll use these for that. So what do they do and how much do they cost? Well, the costs go up depending on the stage. For example, if I want to buy a gold medal during the first epoch, it's 6 coins. But if I want to buy it during the third epoch, well, it's 30. Quite a bit more. And if I buy one of those, then at the end of the game, I'm going to get 7 victory points for every line I have across in which I have at least 1 card in each. So, for example, right now it would be nothing. But if I have... and these are in the wrong spot. You've been noticing that the whole time and didn't tell me. So if I have a purple here, and then my green and a blue, 1 red and 1 yellow, if I have at least 1 of each, I'll get 7 victory points. If I have at least 2 of each, I'll get 14, and so on. This one also does that. And then the silver ones, if I put a token in there and I buy a silver medal, at the end of the game, I'm going to score a number of victory points equal to half wherever that track ended up. Round it up. And so let's say the track, I took a couple of 10s here, and I am now at 24, and I bought this one in red. Well, at the end of the game, I'll get 12 points for that. That's how that works. You can buy 2 of those, you can buy 2 of those. Once we've done that step and everyone has had a chance, we reset to Epoch 2, in which we'll bring out the cards that have the 2 on the back, and we'll set them up. And obviously, again, these have higher costs. On the back of your player aid, it'll tell you the cost spread you can expect to see in these cards during the game. Now, you know everything that these cards do. Green typically will give you more food. The blue will help you with the statues. Red, of course, with your colonies. And yellow is income, is money. Though, of course, there is a little bit of cross-pollination here because this yellow card will give you money, but it'll also help out in the red track. However, the purple cards I haven't really talked about, and those are sort of specials. You're going to find cards in there that are going to have just the ability to push up, some of the tracks. So, for example, we've got, let's find ourselves one that I can show you as an example. This one here, that's a purple card. And what it moves up is the yellow track by 1, the red track by 2. That's what it does, and you just put it right there when you buy it. But many of them will have special abilities, right? So like this one here, for example, is a special ability that says I am going to get an extra bump up on the blue track for every blue card I have. And so upon purchasing that card, for example, I would push up this by 2 because I've already got 2 blue cards there. And then later on when I buy another blue card, I'll deal with whatever it does plus 1 for that. So there you go. That's what the purple cards do. And that's pretty much it. At the end of the game, you're going to pull out your scoring pad here. You're going to write down players' names. At the top, colonies and their victory points. Then the statues. Then silver medals and gold medals. Lastly, you'll figure out the score of all of your cards combined, some of them having quite a few points on them. And then finally, for every 5 coins you have left, a single victory point, and figure out who your winner is. That's going to be it for the game. So hopefully you have a good idea of how to play now. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. Alright, so that is Hadara. Let's go ahead and dive into this one, but I will say right off the bat, and I'll just spoil it, I adore this game. I thought it was fantastic. Such a good design, such an engaging design, and I really was fascinated by it. It's got me really hooked. I've really loved it. So the only thing I was not particularly fascinated by was the theme. It's a theme we've seen many times before. This one doesn't do it any more spectacularly or interestingly than other games with the same theme. So that's the only issue. Now, I don't dislike the theme, and I don't necessarily think it hurts to teach. Teachability stays high with this theme, but it's also not exciting to me. So that's why it just gets a middle-of-the-road rating here. Everything else I thought was fantastic. Aesthetics, high-quality components. Artwork is really well done, superb. The whole thing is a quality product. I thought the from a manufacturing and artwork point of view, really well done. Replayability. There are a lot of interesting things to do here. You've got a lot of spinning plates in this game, and you are going to drop some of them. You are not going to be able to do everything, and you might try to do a little bit of everything. That might work out, might not, but there is going to be a lot of engaging things and interesting aspects to explore in the game. So I think the replayability is going to stay really high. You're going to want to come back to this game and try the thing you tried again, or maybe you saw something that caught your eye. You can pursue that next game. I think the replayability is quite high. Game length is very good. Now with 5 players, you're going to want to make sure that everybody is experienced to keep that play length at a minimum, but a large part of the game is simultaneous. It's not all simultaneous. The game will be longer with more players, but it is still a fairly punchy game length. Ease of play. It really goes out of its way to give you clean symbology, and so I think that the ease of playing this is high for how much is going on in it, which is not a supreme amount. This is not a heavy game. It's sort of, midway game, but there's quite a bit going on. The player rate, though, is fantastic. And then just everything and all the symbology all over it is well done. On the back of the rulebook, you are going to get a breakdown of all the symbols as well on the special cards, for example. So I really like that. They also have some of the purple cards. They tell you to remove those if you are playing for the very first time. You could choose to do that. If you are an experienced gamer, you can throw those right in, and they do add to the experience. I like those a lot. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and luck. It's just a really good combination. You're going to have both short-term and long-term goals. You are going to be reacting to the cards you draw. You are going to have some luck because there are random cards as you draw your 2 from the deck during phase A. You got to deal with one of those. You also have to think about which one you discard because it's available to the other players, possibly. You have money management. You have timing being important in the game. It's so much, but it's all something you can deal with at a moment's thought, and it doesn't bog you down, right? The math in the game, it's there, but it's not mind-destroying. The tactics are all there, but nothing is going to make you have to break your brain in order to puzzle it out. It's a game that I think for the involvement, the weight of the game, how complex it is, gives you a real high return on that. I think that's why I like it so much. That's one of the reasons. And I love the card drafting and that sort of thing. Pushing up all my tracks and dealing with everything that way. So yeah, I thought it was, like I said, a superb design. I was really very impressed with it. This is from the same designer as Crown of Imara. That was also a fantastic game. So I am keeping an eye on this designer. It's someone that I'm hoping keeps making lots of really engaging games like this one. So this gets a seal of excellence from me. Very much recommend you give it a go. If you are a fan of things like Seven Wonders, for example, you can see shades of that in this, and I think you're going to like this one too. So there you go. That is Hadara. Again, seal of excellence from me. I'm Zee Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.